This is a new Fly Fishing Founders episode where we go behind the scenes with outdoor companies going all in on their craft. This week on the Wet Fly Swing podcast, we have John Peterka with Sagebrush Dry. Hey, how's it going, everyone? Thanks for stopping by the Fly Fishing Show. Before we get into the podcast today, I wanted to give a quick shout out to Echo Fly Rods, who produce some of the toughest fly rods on the market. Head over to wetflyswing.com/echo. That's ECHO, and check out the spade rod that I recommend for steelhead. If you purchase through that link, this gives the podcast a small commission at no extra charge to you. Thank you in advance if you're able to do that. In today's episode, I talk with John Peterka from Sagebrush Dry, who breaks down the bulletproof dry bags they produce out of Kake, Alaska. We hear what makes sagebrush bags different, the challenges of producing bags in a remote village up in Alaska, and how basketball helped to give him the in with the tribe in the area. So, without further ado, here's John Peterka from sagebrushdry.com. How's it going, John?
Doing well. Doing really well.
Good. How's things going up in Alaska? You guys, you're kind of right in the middle of the winter, right? What's it like up there right now?
Oh, we've had some nasty weather the last 3 weeks. We don't get the snow. We're in southeast Alaska, so we're more in the rainforest. But We've been getting some snow. We've got probably 6 to 8 inches of snow on the ground. And now it's raining and making everything icy and miserable everywhere. So We're full on winter, gray and cloudy right now. But the days are getting longer, so the end is in sight.
It always is funny to me, kind of, because we talk a lot about the rain down here. Obviously in Oregon it rains a lot as well, but and you get those days when it's like high 30s. It's not quite snowing, but it's that cold rain, and you start to wonder, look around, like, why are we here? What do you love about Oregon? But I mean, you guys have it a little bit even rougher. You must love the rain, or what's your story on all that?
Well, I love the summers. We get lots of sun in the summertime and long days, so that's the trade-off, really. And then just put the nose to the grindstone in the winter and try to crank out the bags and then play in the summertime. So
That's it. Cool. We're gonna get into a lot of the bags. You're Sagebrush Dry. You make a pretty awesome product, and we're gonna dig into that. Just your background there, how you all got started. And I know we talked a little bit before we got on air here that you've done some fishing. When did you first get into fly fishing? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, I dabbled in fly fishing back before I moved out to Alaska in Bozeman, but I was not, I never took. And then when I got to Alaska, Robbie Garrett, one of the owners of the couple that I bought the business from, it was kind of conditional upon buying the business is you got to start fly fishing. So, he's been kind of, taking me out and teaching me. And I've been fly fishing now a couple of years and really getting into it. And, so, we're getting into some of these creeks out here and, some steelhead and just definitely doing subsistence fishing for, all four types of salmon. And, just really getting a good baptism by fire because the fish are definitely abundant here.
No kidding. So you're getting into a little steelhead fishing, and I'm not as familiar. Well, I guess I'm just thinking where you're at exactly. What's the closest, what town?
The closest town, like my hub or whatever, would be Juneau, really. It's 90 air miles. So I'm basically, even with like where Sitka is, we're about 55 miles east of Sitka. So on Kupernoff Island. It's a remote Native American village, about 500 people. Only accessible by airplane or ferry, and kind of a cool little spot.
No kidding.
Not a lot of tourists.
That's cool. Yeah. So you got a small town there, and so how'd you bring the company? How'd you wind up there with a company? I imagine there's a few challenges of building, a brand and building, bags up there. How'd that all come to be?
Well, so I actually bought the business and moved to Kake because that's where it was located.
Oh, gotcha.
Robbie and Elaine Garrett started they started in the, I guess, outdoor gear business back in like 1990. And then, they were doing contract sewing out of Dillon, Montana. So that was kind of the connection there. I was living in Montana doing outdoor gear in Bozeman. And then, I was aware of Sagebrush Dry just because of that connection. And Yeah, so they started it, years ago in Dillon, Montana, like I said, and then they were doing contract sewing for a lot of bigger companies. And then in about 2005, they decided they wanted to move and get as close to being off grid and still be able to make bags as they could. And they moved to Kake, and kind of that's when they really got into the waterproof gear, because we're getting in Kake, we get about 50 inches of rain a year, just really wet climate, and if you're going to do anything, you're going to have to do it in the rain, or you're just not going to do it a lot of the time. So spend a lot of time out on, we're right in the inside passage, so you're out on skiffs and getting crab and fishing and doing whatever you need to do, collecting oysters. So they just saw a need in the market and started making these bags. They got into radio frequency and hot air welding, and really just kind of set themselves aside in the industry, just doing a really unique way of manufacturing these bags. So anyway, I'm on a tangent there, but so I came across the opportunity in 2017. I was by a mutual friend we were doing some work with. Said his friends had this company for sale, and it'd be a good opportunity. Be the kind of I had a partner at the time. He said you guys would be perfect for it, and we went out to Kake, Alaska, flew out to Juneau, took a 12-hour ferry ride to Kake, and then spent a week in Kake and stayed with them, and kind of got a inside view of the business. And after that trip, our ferry was canceled. I had to fly back because of weather. And when we got back to Bozeman, my partner was not interested. One of the conditions was that you had to stay and apprentice with them for at least a year.
Oh, yeah.
And that was kind of one of the conditions. So, and I was kind of interested. It was, it's a really off the beaten path place, and very, just very raw. There's not a lot of tainted things. I mean, you can get out into the wilderness real quick and easy. A lot of wildlife, bears, the salmon, the eagles. It's just really a unique spot. So I visited with them, and they said, well, we think you could come out and figure it out by yourself. And so my partner, she kind of took the little business over that we had started. And she had to, she had an elderly father that she was taking care of, and needed to stay back in Bozeman. So I 2 months later, I got on the ferry, loaded up my car, and as many belongings as I could, and drove out to Bellingham, Washington, got on the ferry, and showed up in Kake and started learning how to make these bags.
There you go. So the ferry, so you could actually take a ferry with your car and everything to Kake.
Yep, you drive right on the ferry in Bellingham, Washington, and you can actually drive up to there's Prince Rupert, and you can even drive all the way to Haines, Alaska, and then get on the ferry. But the whole Alaska Marine Highway system, so you can travel all around, and that's for the most part how I like doing my trade shows and stuff in Alaska. How you get around and we do our Costco run to Juneau and load up the car and spend a week in Juneau and do what needs to be done, and then head back on the ferry again. And there's sleeping rooms, and you can, like little cabins on the ferry as well. So it's kind of a fun adventure too. I mean, everything out here is an adventure. Yeah,
that is. What has been what's kind of the hardest thing about, you've been up there how long now? A couple years?
March will be 3 years.
Well, yeah. What's been the hardest thing about getting to, kind of living up there?
Well, the isolation. I mean, we've got 3 paved miles of road in town, and we got about 100 miles of old logging roads. So that, you can get out a little bit, but it's pretty isolated. I mean, just having to get parts for my machines, or trying to get a technician makes for a lot of challenging. Or even doing your banking. We don't even have a bank, so it makes those things a little challenging. But it's a trade-off, I guess. I go back and forth, but it's a very, very special spot.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm kind of looking on a map now. I'm just trying to orient myself. I've been up to Alaska, but I've never really been in the southeast part very much. But so you mentioned Prince Rupert, because I've been up to the Skeena, that system. Are you?
Yep.
How far are you from kind of that confluence with the Skeena in that area?
Well, Wrangell would probably be
So you're all
a
north.
lot of people. I'm south of Wrangell.
Oh, you're
I'd be
so.
a bit. I'd be north of, or I'd be yes, north of Skeena.
Oh yeah, you're
A bit.
north of Skeena. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yep, gotcha.
So
Okay.
it's probably about a. I mean, there's not a plane service to Wrangell, but it's probably like a 10-12 hour boat ride to
Oh yeah,
Wrangell, and then from Wrangell you can access all over there.
yeah. Oh, I see. Yeah. You're up. You're mentioned Juneau. So yeah, it's all.
Yeah.
It's all ways. Okay, cool. Well, now I just want to dig in a little bit on the gear. Well, I guess before we get there, you mentioned the old business. What was the old business you and your partner were doing before this?
Well, I had gotten into the outdoor gear manufacturing in Bozeman. That's kind of a hotbed for that. So I had been working for another company, my partner as well, a different company, and we kind of just saw a need for small run production. So we had just a small cut and sew manufacturing shop doing mostly sewed goods. We did a lot of like building for, prototype building. So there was some bigger companies around there that would send us stuff that they didn't want to deal with when they'd be approached by other people. So it kind of was a weird little niche, but we'd only really been doing it for about 3 months as a real business when this opportunity came up. So it was really just getting that. We weren't even having that really rolling yet, but I knew about the sagebrush gear, and my roommate when I was living out in Lake Tahoe, California, had a sagebrush bag, and he just beat the heck out of it. And he was in rough stuff, all the time. And he had it for years. And I just, I always knew they made this high quality gear. And when the opportunity came up, I just thought the biggest challenge is going to be making them in cake. But other than that, I've got what I think is the best waterproof gear on the market.
That's cool. So what makes it's interesting with the waterproof gear, because I have one of your hip packs, which is I haven't beat it to death yet, but I plan on it. I have a ton of waterproof bags, and I actually have a bag. My friend who's up in Canada, who started kind of his own company and did one of those backpacks, which you see a lot of, and and of course there's just tons of waterproof bags, and it's interesting because it seems like the market would be a little challenging because there's so many. But what do you guys see as, or what do you see as your, the factor that differentiates you from maybe some of the other bags out there?
Well, I mean, I think for the most part, the outdoor industry is just like any other business. There's a lot of big companies that are out trying to make big bucks. Yeah. Mass producing, in, kind of sometimes unethical conditions. And, we are making them all in Alaska in a small shop, handmade. I buy all my fabric from a guy named Rick Anderson in Monson, Massachusetts. Lamco-Tech is the name of the company. It's a U.S. made, fabric for our conditions. I have a 400 denier nylon pack cloth with scrim coating that's made to our spec. So we're just putting a lot of effort into high quality ingredients. I get the zippers out of Germany from T-Zip, a totally submersible, airtight dive suit industry zipper. And, I just don't think you can mass produce high quality. So that's what we're doing differently. A no bag leaves without being submersion test. I fill every bag with 2.5 pounds of air, and then dunk it in a dunk tank and inspect all the seams to make sure that it's absolutely 100% airtight. And they don't leave the shop if they pass that test. And then we do have a lifetime warranty on everything too. And it's not a lifetime warranty where we're just going to send you a new thing that's going to fail on you every time it fails. We make them to last, and if there's a problem with it, we want it back, and we're going to fix it and get it right. And it's just we just have a different standard. Yeah,
no, that's cool. It's good to hear. That's, I think, that is part of the struggle. Like you said, there's a lot of waste out there, and a lot of this stuff ends up in the landfill, and it sounds like you guys are trying to definitely avoiding that. And yeah, I noticed that when I was using that zipper, that's one of the things you notice on a lot of these waterproof zippers, the ones that aren't quite up to scale, they're just hard to open. You know what I mean? It's like, wow, could you make it any harder to open your zipper? And your zipper, it's a little harder to open than a normal jacket or whatever, but it's pretty easy though. You know what I mean? You don't make it. Is that something on the zipper that technology is tough to, is tough to find around, or is that something that is unique for your bag?
Well, I mean, we're bringing those zippers from Germany. I mean, that's where we find the best ones.
Yeah.
So it is a tough technology. I mean, you're making a zipper airtight, which is, to
Yeah.
me, I fill these things with air,
It's
almost
crazy.
every day, and it still baffles me. It's like, huh. But yeah, and so the technology that we're using to set those zippers in, it's a radio frequency welding. So we're using radio waves to actually reorganize the molecular structure of the polyurethane coating on the fabric in the zipper to make a thermal bond. So, it's just totally airtight. And then, one other thing that we're doing differently, a lot of the bags on the market are using radio frequency welding, which is kind of limiting in your design. So you have a lot of boxy products out there. Where we can get a little more curve and form is I'm using hot air welding. So nobody else is really doing it like I'm doing it. It's creating a thermal bond with heat, but I'm getting a double bond. So I have a bond on my main fabric of the bag, as well as a seam taping going on to just make a super bulletproof seal on everything and all the construction.
There you go. And some of the gear, well, at least on the bag, and I've looked at some of those stuff. I mean, you guys you've got some gun cases, you got some backpacks. Right now, I mean, the hip pack that I have, it would be, obviously is perfect for, out there fishing. Do you have any other fishing products in the line or things in mind in the future? Or are you guys kind of focused on your core, like hunters and things like that there?
Well, I've got my hip and deck pack, which is a really awesome fishing bag. It's worn as it's got a lumbar support and then a single shoulder sling.
Oh, nice.
Which is, I probably use that the most fishing. I also carry a camera with me often when I'm fishing, so it's a good spot to tuck that away. And we make an additional padded foam insert for camera gear and stuff. So it's,
cool.
One nice thing about that is, it's not putting any weight really on your shoulders. It's mostly on your waist. If you are to unbuckle your lumbar support, you can easily swing that bag around and dig in it from the front with it still attached to you.
Right.
So if you're walking in a creek and digging for a lure, it's kind of just that backup. I can be tying stuff over it and let it drop in there rather than into the creek. So it's kind of a real slick bag for that.
Gotcha. And that one's called, what is that one called? Oh, that's the hip.
That's called the hip and deck.
Oh yeah.
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 The other nice thing about that bag and all our bags is the suspension systems are all totally removable. So like on that bag, the hip and deck pack, you can remove the suspension, and then it works as a really great deck bag for a small boat or kayak.
Oh, cool.
And then there's anchor points for that as well. Another good fly fishing bag, really popular one, which is kind of a newer bag that we're doing, is just called the Day Tripper.
Yeah.
Just a neat little backpack, basic shoulder straps, and then we've got the fly rod tubes on the front and a water bottle pocket. But just a good little day bag. Get enough stuff, rain jacket, whatever you need, some lunch, and grab and go.
Perfect. Yeah. So you have some good gear. This is awesome. So it looks like you have a little mix. And as you move forward, are these products mostly the products that you kind of came into when you bought the company, and then do you have, ideas for different products coming up, or are some of these new products since you've been there?
For the most part, they're mainly designs that were existing, from Elaine Garrett. She's kind of the designer that got all these things rolling. And I am working on other things. It's just right now we're, trying to keep up with production.
Oh, yeah.
And I've got, with the different 3 colorways, where right now I have, 30 different products that I offer just in the waterproof side of things. So, I've got a line of, kayak and pack raft fishing bags that I'm working on. Probably be getting those out in April. But yeah, we're always playing with stuff, because it's just, you go out and you do stuff and then you say, I need something to do this. And then you decide, well, how am I going to make it happen? So that's really the stage I'm at. I'm pretty new with doing the hot air and radio frequency. It was a big learning curve, just kind of getting the technical skills down. And now it's starting to be, the playful area where I get to go and make stuff up and have fun with it. So
that's cool. And are you doing all of the, kind of the whole business, manufacturing, everything? Or do you have help, or how's that all working?
I do most of the stuff. I have a couple of part-time employees, two part-time employees right now, and we're shut down right now until February 4th. Just kind of getting some things in line after the holidays,
Mm-hmm.
and got some traveling to do. But yeah, it's a pretty small little operation. I'm pretty much a solo operation in the summertime because everybody in our little village is getting out and
Oh yeah.
it's a subsistence village, so everybody is gathering food and berries and mushrooms, whatever is available. So in the summertime, everybody's kind of out getting what needs to be done, and yeah, so things slow down a bit in the summer.
Gotcha. And subsistence village, I mean, I guess people might have different views of that. Is this more kind of a lot of native Alaskans, or is this, I mean, what is the demographic of the Kake? And you mentioned it's only a few hundred people, or?
Yeah, it's about 500, give or take.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a Tlingit village, so that's the tribe that's native to that island, and it's about 85%, I would say, Tlingit. So predominantly, most of the people born and raised there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
And Ttlingit, how do you spell, do you know how to spell that?
it's Ttlingit, I believe.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah,
Get you
that's
close.
different. That's different than I was thinking. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, click it. So yeah, I mean that's interesting. It seems like that would be definitely part of the getting used to it too. You go to from well, you said Bozeman. Is that where you were?
Yep.
Yeah. You go to Bozeman. You not only go to a place of 500 people, which is already tiny, but 85% native. What was that like? Was that transition? I mean, how'd you fit in the community? Were they? I'm assuming. I guess I'm assuming you're white. Is that the case?
Yeah, that is the case.
Okay.
I'm the white guy.
You're the white boy. How did that work? I mean, how'd that feel going into that?
Well, it's like any new situation. It's a little, awkward at first, but it's a lot of really good people in the village. And one of the things I started doing, because these winters are so long and dreary, I hadn't played basketball since my high school days, 20 years ago, and I started. The basketball's huge in the village towns around Southeast, so I started playing basketball again, and pretty much after about a few weeks to a month of playing basketball, I was the word had traveled. I was okay. I was in with the community. So
there you go.
that was pretty much what it took. Yeah, they have a big annual tournament in Juneau called Gold Medal, and all the surrounding villages put together basketball teams and play in this week-long tournament. And so I was invited to play in that tournament, and once that happened, it was official. I was I was welcome. I felt like I was a member of the community.
There you go. This is cool. Basketball was kind of my sport too. I love hearing that. What was the? I mean, would you have any words of advice for other people going into new communities, new kind of a similar situation like you did?
Well, I mean, I think just be yourself.
Yeah.
The awkward. There's just gonna be that awkwardness, and I moved into a different culture, so there's just a lot of things that awkward silence. I felt like I'd have to fill these spaces all the time, and actually, in the Tlingit community, it's just fine to hang out with each other and not talk for a while.
Oh yeah.
So just different thing, just being aware of what's going on and not trying to, force anything, I guess, would be the biggest thing.
Okay, cool. And
to lace up your basketball shoes if you need to.
Yeah, I was going to say, what was the high school? Where'd you go to high school?
I went to high school in North Dakota, Minto, North Dakota, a small town in the Midwest. Grew up on a pinto bean farm there. So
there you go. So,
it's a little different than where I'm at now.
Right. What was your, what position did you play there?
I was a post player.
Really?
I'm 6 foot tall, but we didn't have a lot of big kids either. So
gotcha. You're kind of like the Charles Barkley.
Yeah, there was a small town, like 600 people in the town there too. So
yeah, cool.
Yeah.
All right, and what is the home? I mean, I guess you've got a lot of rivers around there. Is there a big river over there that people would know about, or something you fish?
Well, where I'm at, it's all small. I'm on my island. I'm just totally kind of out by myself. Yeah, it's pretty great. Um, yeah, I mean, like you said, the Stikine would be like the biggest river of or the area of notoriety, I guess, in my little neighborhood.
That's it. So you're out there fishing, and you said steelhead. So steelhead salmon, a little bit of everything. It's kind of whatever. I guess this time of year you're getting in. What is the? I guess I'm not on the steelhead runs. Is this starting to get to that decent time?
Yeah, and I mean, I've talked to people, native guys in my village that have been catching steelhead, 10 months out of the year. So
Yeah.
I don't really know. But yeah, there's usually a little bump up here in early to mid February, I would say.
Uh-huh. Okay.
But yeah, they're really lackadaisical this time of year.
Right. That's cool.
Yeah.
And what is, as far as, on the company again, getting back to all the bags and stuff, do you have plans to try to scale this thing up longer term and, bring more people in, potentially move the operation out, or what's your long-term plan?
Yeah, that's kind of the phase I'm at right now is what's next.
Yeah.
I'm definitely, demand is growing, and Robbie and Elaine had built a really strong reputation and have a really really solid little following. And yeah, so it's just growing the business and not doing it too fast and trying to keep the quality at the standard that Robbie and Elaine have set is the biggest trick, because hiring people and training, and it's a lot of process. So right now I'm trying to figure out what the next stage is. Whether moving is going to be my shop is powered by diesel generated electricity.
No kidding.
So we're not doing things as efficiently as we really could. I'm getting things barged in, so everything that I order has to get shipped to Seattle and then put on barge system, and then takes a week to get to me. So there's just a lot of it just makes it a lot more challenging, but at the same time it's kind of a quality of life exchange, and it's a pretty unique spot to be.
Yeah, it is. That's and you guys get up, the summers up there you're not getting sunshine all day, but what's that look like? Is that kind of a good chunk of the day is pretty light?
Oh yeah, I mean it's 11 o'clock at night. It's still.
Oh, it is. Yeah, so you're getting a good chunk. So 11, and then
about 3 hours of twilight in the summertime.
Oh, so you're far enough up there that you're still
get a fair amount. Yeah, 3 to 5, I guess. That's it doesn't seem like it really gets totally black dark ever.
No, and
which makes your days real long because you don't want to. It's hard to stop. I
know. Are you still producing in the summertime? You still working and building bags during the summer too?
Yeah. And for the most part, our busy months are, we just got through the busy run. But yeah, we're still making, and we have a lot of we do a lot for some of the different, agencies that work in the area and in the woods and on the water. So we do a lot of those kind of orders in the summertime, getting them stocked out. So it stays busy year round for sure.
Yep. Nice. Well, I'll provide some links to some of your bags and stuff that we've been talking about here. And I would be interested, you mentioned the following from the old owners. I mean, what do you think when you look at that following, who those people are, and maybe think about what, Sagebrush Dry does best? I mean, right now, what would you say? Who is that kind of that target person that's, you think of as your core, customer?
Well, we sell a ton of stuff to just, people all over Southeast Alaska, just because of the nature of the environment. I mean, I'm selling them to 65-year-old ladies who ride their bike to the grocery store and it just rains all the time, So in Alaska, we have a unique niche. The rest of the world, and we ship all over the world, is we've got a real diehard fly fishing community. We've got a lot of guys on the Kamchatka River, the guides up there, using them and beating on them out there in extreme environments. And they're, showing them to their clients, and then we're getting more orders, all over the world from that source. And then, it's people that want to buy something once. I mean, we're making a lifetime bag. I've got a lot of people who have inherited bags from an uncle who's passed away, or, you know, um, we make them to last. And that's the kind of, customers we're targeting, people that know quality and appreciate American made quality.
Mm.
And, and it's just a different operation. If you call and have a problem, you're going to talk to me on the phone. Um, and I'm going to be the guy that fixes it, or does what needs to be done to take care of it. So
Yeah,
we have a lot of pride in that.
that's cool. No, I think you're the more small and kind of mid-sized companies I talk to, the more, I talk to people like yourself, it makes me feel like I'm on the right track, the people I'm connecting with, because, that's kind of what it's all about. And I love hearing how, Kamchatka, I actually just interviewed Mariusz, who is, he's worked in Kamchatka. He's a big conservation-minded person out in the Northwest. And, he was talking about, through this podcast, I'm connecting to people all around the world too now. So it's definitely a small world, even though I kind of think of you as tucked in there in Alaska, I got to realize that it's kind of a global world, right? Even though you're producing it there.
It sure is. I mean, we couldn't do it without the internet. I mean, 80% of my sales come from online, and, yeah, it's amazing. I'm getting into now social media. A few months ago, I finally got Instagram going, and people reach out from all over. It's mind-boggling. I've got a guy in Manuel Antonio, Costa Rica, who does birding tours, who's reached out and ordering lots of bags, and it's just interesting. It's really cool, and it is a fun little network you start building.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, I hope that, as we move forward here, I'm excited to, definitely share. Well, obviously, a lot of people are going to listen to this and probably, hopefully connect with you and get a feel for your stuff. And I actually didn't mention this to you, but we're doing I don't think I mentioned to you, so we're getting a giveaway going, and I'm working with a couple other companies, that are out there, and we're planning on doing a series of giveaways for fly fishing trips around the country, potentially around the world, depending on how it goes. But I'm thinking your bag would be a cool product, as part of that giveaway. We're kind of looking at not necessarily just fly fishing gear. The trip we're looking at first is Pyramid Lake, which is kind of a destination, kind of down south of here. So yeah, I'll have to follow up with you on that as we get into it to see if, you have some interest there. But yeah, before we jump out of here, kind of as we wrap things up, anything else you want to touch on as far as from the company perspective, people should know about, what you do and the good things you have going?
Well, I think we covered a lot of it. I guess the main thing is, I mean, we're a small operation, and we're just making what we think is really high quality stuff. And we take pay a lot of attention to detail, and really try to, help our customers have a really good experience with their outdoor, activities. Because the worst thing that can happen, and I'm living in an extreme place where the environment's trying to kill you every day,
Yeah.
And if your gear fails, you're up the creek. And it doesn't matter if your lifetime warranty is great. If you're out in the
Yep.
bush and you've got a 6-day hike to get back, it ruins your trip, and it could potentially ruin your, life.
Well,
so
yeah.
I mean, that's the point I'm like to get across for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It is kind of life or death. Have you had, I imagine, you have plenty of bears around there. Have you had any encounters, cool or crazy, out there?
Oh man, that was one of the hardest things to tackle upon moving here. The Kupernoff Island is I think it's the second most highly densely populated black bear populations in North America. And there's bears. I live right on a creek, and it's we get humpy salmon up that.
Oh yeah.
And so it's just bear haven. And I mean, I'm dealing with bears every day of the week for 2 months straight in the summertime, shooing them off of my step. And so yeah, there's just, I mean, it's hard to name one crazy because I mean, one of the most crazy experiences when I first got here, I was watching bears from a bridge, and I was watching a couple of kids while they're snagging fish as they were coming in.
Yeah.
And, here comes a bear, and I was like, oh God, what am I going to do? and the kid starts talking to the bear and waving his fishing pole at the bear, and the kids aren't worried, and they just one other kid keeps fishing. It's just a different, where we're at, we're just really a part of nature. The bears don't really seem to get too bothered by it. As long as you're smart, don't leave your garbage out. I mean, they do like eating my carrots out of my garden, but I'm learning how to get them out of there. But other than that, I mean, it's just, just a day-to-day thing
Not too big of a deal. Exactly. Yeah. You just kind of get used to it. And I guess black bear, do you guys also have a grizzly bear population there?
Not on Kupernoff, crossover on Admiralty, and then Baranoff as well. Chichikoff. There's brown bears, but no, we're lucky to not have them, I guess, where we're at. But still, we got lots of bears.
Well, that's the thing that they say with black bears. The difference between grizzly and black bears is that if you get attacked, with a grizzly bear, you should play dead, but with a black bear, you fight back because they're going to eat you, right? If they're attacking you, is that kind of what you learned out there too?
That's what what they tell you. And I've never even seen an aggressive bear. I mean, I've come into them picking berries and a sow with cubs, and just more curious than anything, just doing a lot of sniffing.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm talking calmly about it now. I tell you, I was not a calm character when it was going down.
No, not at all. I heard it. Yeah, I've had a few bear encounters with black bears specifically that, you definitely, you think about it a little bit. Cool. All right. Well, I think we're about there. Any, I was going to dig into a little bit, maybe, as we get down on this, down the line, we can check back to see how things are going. Maybe I can get you back on, and if you have any new lines, any new products. But for now, I think you've got plenty of stuff that folks out there that are fly fishing, if they want to keep their stuff dry. And like you said, cameras, all that is obviously a big part of it. So yeah, we'll in the next 6-12 months, any new things going on as far as bags or gear, anything we can expect from you, or just personally?
Yeah, well, I've got these tote bags coming out, some boat kind of totes, and some kayak specific, like a nose bag and a midship bag that'll be coming out around, I think, about April. I'll have those out. We're also getting into, I do, on my labels and stuff, I do the screen printing. We've also been getting into doing custom labels for like promotional gifts and different kind of safety gifts and things like that for companies as well. So that's kind of a new thing that'll be coming out on the website, and kind of getting that out a little bit more after we kind of recover from the holidays here. And so that kind of gives people an option. A lot of lodges are doing it where they'll screen print their logo on a bunch of bags, then that's part of the package, or however they'd want to do it.
So if we wanted to get some of these bags with the Wet Fly Swing logo on them, you could do that sort of thing up.
Definitely.
Okay, cool. All right, I'll keep that in mind. And then, as far as this would be something, maybe a non piece of gear that's non sagebrush dry. Do you have a go-to piece of gear that's something else you got? Up in Alaska, you don't leave home without up there.
Grundens.
Oh, Grundens. That's right.
Yeah, you gotta have your Grundens and your extra toughs around here. That's otherwise you can't get around. That was gear I'd never had before I moved to Alaska, and it was essential. And you find that out real quick. You try to use, I've tried using all kinds of other different kinds of products, and when it's just constantly raining, you got to have something serious.
Or whatever that is.
It definitely does.
Yeah, yeah. Are you on the Grunden shoes? I heard they have a low top or a 3/4 top. I've never used them, but do you do the full the normal boots?
Oh, I've got a variety of them.
You got them all.
You got to have your slip-ons. You got to have and I've got some different ones. I have a pair of bogs that I really like too. That are fully waterproof, like a 3/4 boot that's really handy. But yeah, I got to have rubber. It's just a game changer out here, because if you get wet, it just ruins your trip. Yep.
Yeah, it is for sure. What about a tip for, if you have a new company? Obviously you've bought this company, you've got a company that's paying the bills. Are there any tips for somebody who's kind of in it, trying to, make a successful company for them?
Well, I need tips. I'm figuring it out myself.
Yeah.
It's just, you gotta just keep at it, I guess, is the thing, because I've had a lot of, ups and downs and equipment breakdowns, and at the end of the day, just got to look more long term than see the forest for the trees, because there's just so many things that come up that will screw up your dream plan that you had when you're sitting on the couch in Bozeman, Montana, dreaming up how this was going to go so smoothly.
That's right.
So yeah, it's just, you got to just go with the flow. There's so much unknown, and that's kind of, once you make that like the curious part and the challenging part, it doesn't get so bad.
That's right. Yeah, it's kind of, it's the journey, right? That's kind of the fun part of the whole thing. You never know where it's going to take you.
Exactly, and that's the part to be conscious of. If you can keep that in mind, you're fine. But it's really a challenge too.
Yeah. No, I know. I'm kind of coming from the same end. That the podcast definitely has been a journey. It's been one of those things. That's part of the thing. I think if you don't enjoy that, you know what I mean. That just shows you're probably not in the right line, of thinking or work or whatever. I guess one last question before I let you get going. If you weren't doing the sagebrush dry, what do you think? What do you think you'd be doing for a living?
Ooh. I would probably be trying to do something. I mean, probably like I'd be teaching. Yeah, I'd probably be trying to do something to help kids out and get things on the right track. I've had a lot of, really good experiences here and opened my eyes to a lot of things. And I think that's a really important thing that we need to do more of, is, helping each other out and getting people in a positive space. Yep.
No, I think probably some of those villages, right? I know I have a friend that used to work up in Alaska, and she used to travel around to the different villages and towns, and there's, with the children, there's a lot of concerns and issues, right? Some of the, I don't know if it's all mental health, but different things going on. And I mean, those kids, mentorship, right? Just like anybody, finding a mentor for the kids and for the people is a big part of it. So
that's huge. It really is.
That's cool. All right, John. Well, this has been good. I think I have a better perspective on sagebrush dry. I think I'm going to hopefully, obviously get the word out there and hopefully get a few more items myself. I think that, I've had plenty of moments where I've been soaking wet. I've gone swimming while fishing, and, I've had both sides, right? I've had that bag that's leaked, and I've had the bag that's stayed dry. So it's exciting to hear, to know I have a good company on board. But yeah, if they want to find you, they can just go to Sagebrush Dry.
Yep, sagebrushDry.com, and then I'm Sagebrush Dry on Instagram and Facebook too.
All right.
And that's all kind of coming together. The website needs some updating and some work, and so does the social media, but we're busy making bags, so that's kind of the priority.
That's right. What's your so social media right now is are you focusing more on like Instagram or any ones in particular?
Instagram and Facebook. But Instagram kind of seems to be the one that, I mean, I've never done Instagram for my personal life or anything. So 3 months ago, I got baptized by fire into that. And it really seems like, that's where people are reaching out to me on. And, it's kind of a fun little, it gets to be a fun little project, actually.
Yeah, in your bags, people get to see them. And I think that's part of this giveaway I mentioned. I think we're going to, the companies that are involved, I think we're going to do maybe something where people have to just follow, all the companies who are providing the products, and that'll help build some buzz for everybody. And, so I'll let you know on that if that works out. And it should be fun. I think Instagram, that's what it's all about, right? It should be fun. It should be social. It shouldn't be some spammy sort of thing. That's the whole idea. So I'm going to do my best to make it fun. But cool. John.
Yeah.
We'll keep in touch with you and check back with you soon.
Awesome, Dave. Well, I appreciate the time. It's fun being on the podcast.
So there you go. If you want to find all the show notes, all the links we covered, just go to wetflyswing.com/126. Want to say thank you in advance if you were able to head over to wetflyswing.com/echo and purchase a new rod through that link. This podcast gets a small commission at no extra charge to you if you make a purchase there. You will be supporting this podcast, local fly shops, and a great fly rod company doing some good stuff out there. So, I wanted to just say thank you again for stopping by to check out the show today. I appreciate the support. I'm looking forward to maybe catching up with you soon on the river or online.
Thanks for listening to the Wet Fly Swing Fly Fishing Show. For notes and links from this episode, visit wetflyswing.com. And if you found this episode helpful, please subscribe and leave a review on iTunes.